Okay, let's take a look at the WeVideo editing area. I'm going to click to create a new blank video. And the first thing it asks me to do is, what size screen are you going to show this? Is it going to be more of a horizontal screen or a square screen? Most of our screens these days are horizontal, so I'm going to choose horizontal and say start editing. Now, when I first come into WeVideo, you're going to notice that this is a very, very simplified timeline. This is ideal for elementary students if you're going to use WeVideo for a project with them. Once you get into middle school and high school, you probably are going to want to have a little bit more advanced timeline, and you can change that from the menu up here and switch down to the timeline view. Now, in this class, we are going to be focusing mainly on the timeline view. You're going to learn to use the timeline view, but I will provide one video at the end that does give an overview of this storyboard view for those of you who teach elementary students and might want to use it with your kids. So as you'll notice, the very first thing that I saw is we do have a menu in the top left-hand corner of the screen. These 3 lines is your menu. Sometimes they call these 3-line menus hamburger menus because they're supposed to look like a hamburger. Either way, couple of important notes under here. Number 1, there's a save button. So this isn't really important. It's an important item to draw your students' attention to, because unlike Google, this program does not auto-save. You must hit save periodically or your work will not be saved. You can also create a video in any way that you want, and you can save that video as a template. I know we talked about templates before, so that's something to keep in mind as you're thinking about planning student projects. Some of your settings you can switch. Pretty much your main setting is really just going to be what type of view do you want. So I'm actually going to say save changes here and go back, because it also just gives me that option to switch right here. So I'm going to just say switch to timeline view, and if you notice, my timeline looks a little bit more advanced now. This is the view that we're going to be working in for most of our class. So this is your menu. This is also your menu area. These are all the features and options that you have when you're creating a video, and we're going to be spending tons of time in here in this class. The right-hand area over here is where you would preview your video. And then the timeline. Anything that's on the timeline is part of the video. If it's not on the timeline, it's not part of the video. So these are the general layout for all your video projects with this screen. Now up here on this menu, I just want to point this out. The star, this is like a library of videos and pictures that are part of WeVideo, and there's also sound files in here as well. These are free to use. They're copyright-free videos and pictures. So we might use some of these some of you may use some of these when you're kind of working on creating a project in this class. You can also create your own videos and save them to this shared area as well. The next item, you can also search by keyword for what you're looking for. So if I was like looking for videos that had like a tiger in it, I would just type in tiger, and it's going to pull up all the videos that are in here that have a tiger. So just as an FYI. The next menu item over is your media. This is media that you have added to WeVideo. You can upload media, you can record media, it can be a video recording, it can be just an audio recording. We're going to spend time in each one of these sections as we move forward. The next item is text. There's a lot of options for text. You have text screens, you can have text over video, or it can be its own screen. If you go to in season, these are kind of like holiday themed text screens, and there's also call outs that you can add to your video as well. The next item on the list here is audio. Audio meaning music or background music or sound effects. So there's a lot of free music that's already in the program. You also can upload any song that you want or any piece of music into the program. So if you have something saved that you want to use in a project, you can certainly upload it in. There's also some random sound effects here. So like if I went to people, there's, people walking, people going down a stairs, people laughing. So there's all different sound effects right here. And then also under audio, so let me click that again, is premium music. Because we have a license, we have access to premium music as well. So not only free music, it just gives you more options. There's just more stuff to choose from is pretty much what you're finding here. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to spend more time on background music and recordings as well as we move forward in the class. This next item is transitions. This is kind of like slide transitions in PowerPoint, just giving things a little bit more polished look. And we have some standard transitions, and we get some additional ones because we have a paid subscription. And then finally, the last item has to do with graphics. So in graphics, there's certain backgrounds, solid color backgrounds we can have. You can do overlays, so these are little like pieces of clip art that you can add into your video, or you can use like frames in your videos. So we'll be talking about all of this as we move forward. In addition, up here, you also have this little menu here too. So this is the My Video section. Under themes, again, these are themes that you can add to any video. These generally just give you an effect on a video. So if you want something to maybe look like more old school, you could use like the vintage effect, and it will basically give this effect to your entire video. Generally, I like to create a video first and then try to apply a theme at the end if I'm interested in trying that. And then that way, there's also, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but there's also an edit undo and an edit redo button. So if you did add a theme at the end and you didn't like it, you can just undo it without having to redo or any parts of your video. In the finish section, this is obviously empty. I haven't added anything to my edit yet, but if I had something down there, this is where I would come to export my video out of WeVideo. This is a really important step, especially for students. Once they're finished with a project, they do need to export it, and you can export directly to YouTube or Google Drive, and there's a lot of options there, but it makes it a little bit easier for you to turn it into students or into your teachers. So I will be covering that a little bit more as well. But that's your video overview, and we're kind of ready, or the screen overview, and we're going to be ready to kind of dive in and really start working on our video next.